Discord. It's described by Discord themselves as being a million things.
Right.
Think about that for a second. How does one platform become so many different things to so many different people?
Hmm.
It's almost like an online space that sort of shapeshifts based on who walks in the door and what they bring.
Yeah, like an online potluck, you said, but not with food.
Exactly. A potluck of online experiences totally driven by you, the users. It's a pretty fascinating thought, really. A platform defined by its users' content.
It is fascinating, and it immediately brings up a big question. How does something so fluid, so user-driven, actually create any sense of a consistent identity?
Yeah.
And that's what we're diving into today. We're looking at Discord's official tone of voice and brand colors guidelines.
Trying to understand how they build that recognizable feeling.
Exactly.
Okay. So we're going to unpack how Discord, with this idea they have of being playfully purposeful, actually communicates and, presents itself visually.
Okay, sounds good. Where should we start? Tone.
Let's start with the voice. Discord says their discussions can range from, like, really serious stuff to the wonderfully silly.
Right.
Things like, our hot dog sandwiches, what if Pokemon worked at the DMV?
Okay.
Are Mentos real? What's the deal with plain toast? That kind of thing.
All happening alongside presumably more serious things.
Yeah, exactly. Homework help, game streams, deep chats, they claim there's no other place like it online. So it makes sense they wouldn't want to sound like anywhere else either. What do you make of that as a starting point?
Well, what's interesting is that they're not trying to hide the chaos, really, of having so many different communities.
Right, they embrace it.
They seem to, yeah. And they're setting the stage for a tone that can kind of handle that whole spectrum. And that playfully purposeful idea,
Okay.
it suggests there's an intention there. It's not just random fun.
Okay, so purposeful playfulness.
Maybe it's about making even the serious topics feel a little more, I don't know, approachable, less intimidating.
That makes sense. And they break down that intention into 4 key aspects. First up, playful.
Okay.
The goal here is to inject little bits of joy, make those everyday online moments just a bit more memorable.
Like little surprises.
Yeah, having fun, maybe getting a little delight, especially when real life feels a bit, well, normal.
Mundane.
Their metaphor for this, confetti.
Confetti. I like that. It's a great image.
Yeah.
It suggests these like little bursts of fun sprinkled around.
Right.
Not constantly loud, but these small, unexpected moments that can just brighten things up.
Maybe it lowers the stakes a bit, too. Makes interacting feel less pressured.
Could be.
Yeah.
That fits. Okay, what's next?
Next is original. Discord really emphasizes how much they appreciate what their users create and do on the platform.
Ah, the user content focus again.
Right. They started with gaming, sure, but you all have taken it in so many, unexpected directions.
Karaoke nights, you mentioned?
Karaoke nights, math study groups, people recording podcasts like this one. They say it's about celebrating the unique viewpoint that every single person brings to the world and to their Discord communities.
This really speaks to that organic growth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With the platform being shaped by its users.
Yeah.
It suggests Discord is pretty flexible, kind of open to seeing where the community takes things.
Probably builds a sense of ownership for users too, right? Like they're actually building Discord.
Definitely. That makes sense. What's the third aspect?
Third, we have relatable. The core idea here is making sure everyone feels heard, understood, and valued for who they are.
Okay, the human connection side.
Yeah. Discord tries to communicate in a way that acknowledges, a whole range of emotions.
So you feel comfortable just being yourself.
Exactly. They even use the idea of virtual tea chats.
Virtual tea chats.
Yeah, that feeling of a cozy, personal connection.
That relatable aspect is so important for building community, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's trying to make a huge platform feel human-sized by showing empathy, understanding. They want to create a space where people feel safe sharing.
Which you need for those deeper connections.
Crucial. Okay, and the last one,
And finally, reliable. This is all about building trust.
the foundation.
Right. Discord highlights listening to users, being honest, dependable, consistent, acting with integrity. The bedrock of a good relationship.
Makes sense.
Their goal is for Discord to just work, no matter when, where, what device.
The basics have to be solid.
They even jokingly add almost across planets.
Almost.
They admit that last bit's still a work in progress.
Well, that reliable part provides the stability, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It lets the playful and relatable stuff actually work long term.
Good point.
Without that trust, that dependability, the fun and connection wouldn't feel sustainable.
And the joke keeps it playful, even when talking about something serious like trust.
Yeah, it fits their tone.
Okay, so to bring all this together, playful, original, relatable, reliable Discord talks about speaking the universal feeling of
A
Discord.
universal feeling. How do they do that?
They try using metaphors, little mental images to spark a connection between friends.
Like what?
They give examples like picturing yourself as an astronaut bumping into your friends just hanging out in space.
Okay, interesting image.
Or imagining a place to connect with friends without, like, the awkwardness of sharing bunk beds.
Right, less physical constraints.
They even mention enjoying online cookies without your data getting spilled.
Huh, okay. Data privacy cookies. Clever. What do you think of using these kinds of universal scenarios?
It seems like a smart way to create a sense of shared experience, maybe, even across really different communities.
Yeah, these metaphors tap into pretty fundamental human things: connection, belonging, easy interaction.
Stuff that works regardless of your specific server's inside jokes.
Exactly. Finding common ground through imagination.
And it seems they also try to weave in some community-specific lingo sometimes,
Oh, interesting.
but in a way that still has a broader meaning. So it's understood generally, but it also gives a nod to those, edge communities, the ones with their own unique ways of talking.
Hmm. That's a bit of a tightrope walk, isn't it?
Feels like it.
It is a delicate balance. You're acknowledging and respecting the unique cultures within different communities.
While keeping the main brand message accessible to everyone.
Right. Regardless of their specific interests or online subcultures. It's tricky.
Okay, let's switch gears then. Let's talk visuals, starting with the logo and Clyde.
Yes, Clyde.
Anyone who's used Discord has probably run into Clyde. Who is he exactly?
Well, he's the official Discord bot, right? The little guy who pops up.
Yeah, the helpful digital assistant that tells you when something isn't working quite right.
Hmm.
And here's a fun fact. Clyde is the shape in the Discord logo. Did you know that?
I did, yeah. It's quite clever branding, isn't it?
How so?
It directly links a functional part of the platform, the bot, with the overall brand identity.
Ah.
Makes the logo feel a bit more personal, like a friendly face for the platform.
So when it comes to the logo itself, there are a few different versions they use.
Right, not just the one.
The one they prefer is the full logo Clyde in the Discord word mark.
The standard lockup.
But sometimes you just need the word mark, and for that, they have 4 color options.
Huh.
White text on that signature blurple background. That's the main one.
Blurple on white, too.
Blurple text on white, yep. And then smaller versions in white on black and black on white.
For small use cases.
And this detail I found interesting. For those smaller word mark versions, they've actually adjusted the kerning.
The spacing between letters.
Yeah, just to make sure it's still easy to read, even when it's really tiny. Like below 80 by 15 pixels.
Wow, that's specific.
Why go to that level of detail, do you think?
That attention to legibility, even at tiny sizes, shows that they really understand how branding works everywhere.
On websites, in apps.
Exactly. They want the brand recognizable, whether it's huge or just a tiny icon. Optimizing kerning means Discord stays clear no matter the scale.
Good point. And we can't forget Clyde himself. Turns out he's quite expressive.
Oh, yeah.
Just by making tiny changes to the shape of his eyes, Clyde can apparently show a whole range of emotions.
Subtle animation or variations.
I guess so. I wonder what stories those little eye movements are telling us.
That's a subtle but really effective way to add personality, isn't it?
Yeah, instead of just a dry system message.
It reinforces that playful aspect again, even in technical interactions. Makes the platform feel a bit more alive, less robotic.
Definitely. All right, let's move on to the colors. The Discord universe's palette, their specific brand colors.
Okay, and the star, of course, is
Blurple, no question.
the signature color.
And they are incredibly specific about it. Not just purplish blue, they give the exact codes.
All the codes. HEX, RGB.
Yep, HEX 5865F2, RGB 88101-242, CMYK 806000, even the Pantone matching system value, PMS 2726C.
Wow. That is serious color commitment. Why be so precise, though?
Well, having those exact specs is crucial, right, for keeping the brand consistent everywhere.
Digital graphics, printed stuff, merch.
Exactly. Each system, HEX for web, RGB for screens, CMYK for print, PMS for color meshing gets used differently.
So giving all the values means Blurple looks like Blurple wherever you see it.
Makes sense. So Blurple is the star, but it's not alone. There's an extended palette.
What else is in there?
We've got black, HEX 23272A, yellow, HEX ACE7 FAVC,
Nope.
fuchsia, HEX EB4590, and of course white, HEXFFFFFF.
Okay, a nice range.
And what's interesting here is they specifically say yellow and fuchsia are there to represent the colorful, diverse content from the users, from us.
Oh, that's a nice touch. Connecting the colors back to the community.
Yeah, it's a neat connection back to that user-driven idea, isn't it?
It is. It's like a visual way of saying your creativity, your energy, that's part of our brand.
Makes the colors feel less random.
Yeah, more like a reflection of the actual user experience.
Yeah. Then there's green, HEX57F287, and red, HEXED4245. And these, they associate more with the product itself.
Ah, okay. A functional distinction.
What does that distinction tell us, do you think?
That likely serves a purpose within the UI design. Green often means something positive, right? Like online status, availability.
Yeah, the green dot.
Red usually signals alerts, errors, maybe actions needing attention.
Like the LDE badge.
Exactly. So associating these directly with the product helps create clear visual cues for users navigating the interface.
Okay. Now, it's not just a free-for-all with these colors. They give guidelines on combinations.
Which ones work well together?
Yeah, pairings that offer good contrast, good readability. They suggest things like fuchsia with yellow, red with white.
And probably lots with blurple.
Yeah, various combinations involving blurple with white, black, green, yellow. Why highlight specific pairings like that?
Well, it's about ensuring visual harmony, but also accessibility.
Right, making sure people can actually read things.
Some color combos can be really hard to read or just look.
Yeah.
Jarring. By recommending pairings, Discord guides people to use the colors effectively, pleasingly, easily.
And just as important, they also point out pairings to avoid.
Oh, good. What shouldn't you do?
They specifically warn against white on yellow.
Yeah, low contrast.
Fuchsia on red, blurple on fuchsia, saying they can have low contrast or just be uncomfortable to look at.
Makes sense.
They even mention that while green on yellow might pop up in the product interface somewhere, it's not great for important info.
It's good they're explicit about the don'ts.
Right.
Absolutely. Sometimes knowing what not to do is just as vital in design. Listing those problem combos helps keep a consistent, professional look and avoids common readability traps.
Okay, so going beyond just pairs, they also suggest entire color schemes, usually 3 colors.
Trios. Okay. Like what?
Like blurple white and green, or red, white, and yellow.
Nice combination.
This is interesting. They say the order in which these colors are layered actually matters and shouldn't be changed.
The order matters. Why?
What's the significance of the order, do you think?
The emphasis on order suggests probably a deliberate approach to visual hierarchy.
Okay, like which color is dominant?
Yeah, which is dominant, which is an accent, which might be for text or backgrounds. It helps create a specific visual balance, make sure the key things stand out.
Got it. And for illustrations that use multiple colors, they often seem to favor blurple, fuchsia, and green. But there are rules here, too.
Always rules.
You should never use the same color for both the illustration's background and the layout's background.
Ah, okay. Prevents things from blending together.
Yeah, they give a fun example. If you have a fuchsia balloon dog that goes right to the edge of the illustration,
Right.
then fuchsia can't be the background color of the whole page it's on.
That makes perfect sense. Ensures the illustration feels part of the brand aesthetic, but doesn't get lost or create visual confusion. Good rule for clarity.
Even the user interface itself has specific color rules. Server channels, for instance.
Okay, what about them?
Generally white or black backgrounds with the text color inverted for contrast.
Standard practice.
User online status is green, the live badge is red.
We mentioned those.
And they even detail how to create those subtle overlay circles you sometimes see in channel layouts.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
They use 25% opacity black with the multiply layer style, depending if it's horizontal or vertical. That's getting pretty technical.
It is. But those UI guidelines are critical for a consistent, intuitive user experience inside the app itself.
Yeah.
The color choices probably follow established conventions, like green for online,
Yeah.
and the details on opacity and layer styles. That shows a really hands-on approach to visual consistency.
Call to action buttons, too, like the call buttons.
Important ones. What are the rules there?
Always white icons on either a black or red background. And they specifically say you cannot invert this.
No red icons on white, then?
Nope. And they caution against using a fuchsia background for these buttons.
Why fuchsia?
Because the red icon could just blend in too much.
Ah, visibility issue. Makes sense.
Yeah.
What about reactions? Like emojis.
Reactions.
Yeah.
Mostly white text on a 25% transparent white background.
Okay.
But if it's on a yellow background, it changes to 60% transparent white background on blurple text.
Wow. Very specific edge case.
And they always remind you to think about emoji contrast against the background. They've thought of pretty much everything.
These super specific rules for interactive bits are all about making sure key actions and info are always clear and accessible.
Usability.
Exactly. Making sure important stuff doesn't get lost visually.
They even include examples, right? Good and bad color use and layouts.
Do they? That's helpful.
Yeah, showing how contrast and clean color works in busy designs. And then right next to it, examples where poor choices mess up readability.
Seeing those real-world examples must really hammer home why the guidelines matter.
Totally.
Providing visual examples makes the guidelines way more tangible, easier to grasp why certain rules exist.
Okay, one last visual element. The community pattern.
The community pattern. What's
All right.
that?
It's like a visual way to represent many users together. You might see it sometimes.
Okay, like a background element.
Could be. The main color rule here, always a white background underneath the actual content.
Okay, content sits on white.
When the pattern's used on its own, you can use colors from the current brand scheme, even fill the little circles with user avatars.
Oh, cool. Personalizable.
But they specifically say not to just mix all the colors randomly outside the defined schemes. They say it can look inelegant and misleading.
Interesting. Why that restriction, do you think? Keep it on brand.
Yeah, that restriction probably ensures that even when showing the broad community, the visuals still feel aligned with the core brand identity.
Right. Limiting the palette, ensuring that white background.
Right.
It stops the community pattern becoming visually chaotic or watering down the overall brand feel.
Makes sense. So putting it all together, it's really clear that Discord's brand is very deliberately built. Playful, original, relatable, reliable. And it's not just words, it's woven into their tone, their visual identity, right down to the HEX codes for Blurple.
And throughout all that detail, the user community is still positioned right at the heart of how they express the brand.
Exactly.
It really shows a thoughtful, strategic approach to branding for a digital platform like this.
Balancing act.
Definitely. Balancing the need for a consistent, recognizable identity with this, dynamic user-driven nature of the platform. The level of detail is pretty remarkable.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How do these seemingly small choices actually shape your experience on Discord? Do you consciously notice these subtle design bits working together, creating that consistent feel, even with all the different communities and conversations?
That's a great question. Often these guidelines work subconsciously, I think,
Yeah.
creating that sense of familiarity, maybe comfort, without you necessarily pinpointing why. They're the framework that helps make the massive, varied world of Discord feel cohesive.
Interesting. If you listening are interested in digging even deeper into this stuff, you can actually check out the full Discord brand guidelines yourself.
Oh, yeah. Are they public?
Seems like it. Try searching online for Download Discord Brand Design, or maybe just Discord Brand Guidelines.
You might be surprised at the level of thought that goes into these digital spaces we use every day.
Totally.
And it leaves us with a pretty interesting final thought, doesn't it?
What's that?
How does a platform like Discord, which relies so heavily on the individual identities, the expressions of millions of users, how does it successfully balance that organic energy with its own really carefully crafted official brand identity?
It's a fascinating balancing act in the online world today.
It really is.